3 days after Jason's wedding, Brianna flashed me her sweetest smile and said, "Serena, when are you moving out? I'd love to turn that room into a nursery." My brother nodded along while my mother peeled an apple for me. "You earn good money. Finding a rental will be a snap." I took the apple and smiled right back. Sure. That night, I stopped the monthly $23,000 payment I'd wired for 3 straight years. If the family no longer wanted me, then whoever still wanted the house could have it, along with its price tag. Today, Sterling Tech announced across-the-board 30% salary cuts. As operations director, I took the first hit, plunging from 30 grand a month to 21. Mortgage, car loan, living expenses each weighed like a mountain on my chest. "Serena, you home?" My mother called from the living room, her voice warmer than usual. I looked up. Jason, his brand new wife Brianna, and our mother sat in perfect formation on the sofa, a sliced fruit tray centered like a peace offering. Clearly not casual chit-chat. "Yeah," I answered, swapping my heels for slippers. Every instinct on alert. "Come sit, we need to talk," Jason said, patting the cushion beside him, tone already giving orders instead of asking. I walked over but stayed on my feet, leaning against the sofa arm while I sipped water. "What's up?" Brianna layered on a gentle smile and clasped my hand. "Serena, we're official family now, right? And we're planning ahead. Eventually we'll want kids. The place is roomy, but extra people cramp a nursery. A single girl shacked up with her married brother? The gossip could scare off decent guys." She paused, gauging my face, voice soft as silk yet razor sharp underneath. "So maybe, pick an Alex and move out? You pull a high salary, renting somewhere trendy would be fun and convenient." The air iced over. My knuckles bleached around the glass. I scanned the trio, mother inspecting kiwi slices, Jason nodding like a bobblehead, Brianna angelic. A chill skidded up my spine harder than the day Sterling Tech slashed pay. I inhaled, studying my voice. Company just cut salaries. From here on I net 21. I tossed the news like a flare, hoping for one ember of sympathy, maybe just a polite, "That sucks." Instead, 21 is still huge. Mother chirped, light as tipping a bellhop. "You're resourceful, tighten your belt." "Your brother and Brianna face real pressure, they'll be raising my grandchild." Jason rolled his eyes. "Exactly. Brianna's thinking of you. Move out and everyone breathes. Salary slump? Figure it out. That little salary?" I echoed, heart clenching as if in a frozen fist. Every sacrifice, down payment, 3 years of mortgage, the family SUV shrunk to that little salary in their mouths. Sensing tension, Brianna played referee, smile flawless. "Serena, don't misunderstand. We're only discussing. If money's tight, your brother and I could float 1 month's rent." "Float?" I finally laughed, cold, brittle. I glanced at Jason. "Big brother, that house. 23 grand a month, 3 years straight, all from my account. And now you want me to move from the home I bought so you can kindly spot me 1 month's rent?" My voice stayed soft, but the words cracked like lightning in the room. Jason's face drained. Mother snapped up. "Serena, the deed carries your brother's name, his marital home. Helping family is duty. With Brianna inside, you're the outsider. What's wrong with moving?" "Outsider?" I tasted the word, felt the last dregs of hope calcify and crumble. I straightened, eyes sweeping once, memorizing 3 faces I no longer recognized, then turned toward my bedroom. No shouting, no tears. Door shut, lock clicked. Back against the cold wood, I heard Mother hiss. "Angry after all we've done." And Brianna's sugary, "Mom, don't be mad, Serena just needs time." Eyes closed, pulse hammering, I opened my banking app. Blue light washed over my hollow cheeks. Found the auto draft labeled mortgage. Tap, double quotes, pause, scheduled transfer. Finger hovered 1 heartbeat, then stabbed confirm success. The phone sailed onto the duvet. I dragged out my suitcase, boxing documents, laptop, tailored blazers, whatever mattered. Since I was nearly outsider, I wouldn't overstay another second. Neon from Riverdale's skyline shimmered beyond the pane, gilding the apartment I bankrolled in full. My lips curved, frosted, final. Counter-strike begun. Every dime I'll claw back. Clearing out took under an hour. Zero nostalgia. I booked a furnished Avalon 2 blocks from Sterling Tech. 2 months upfront on plastic, no flinch. After $23,000 months, the rent felt almost weightless. Laptop, 3 power suits, 1 watch, my material. Life fit 1 carry-on plus 1 checked bag. I surveyed the stripped room, expecting ache, feeling only the clean snap of severed rope. My phone went tomb quiet. I muted the family group chat, no blocking though. I wanted front row seats when their perfect masks shattered under real-world pressure. On the 10th morning of the payment freeze, the silence cracked. I was pitching cost-saving routes to Avery when my cell buzzed. Jason. Decline mute. Next came Mother, then Brianna, barrage synchronized like a drumline. I let the screen flare and dim while I annotated forecasts. Only after the meeting ended did I check the roasted handset. 13 missed calls, multiple texts. Mother, Serena, why didn't the bank pull the mortgage? Jason. Pick up. Explain yourself, Brianna. Sweetie, misunderstanding? Call us, everyone's worried. Every line demanded, scolded, panicked, no inquiry about my new apartment. No concern over my pay cut. I thumbed Mother's chat, calm as weather report. I no longer live there, so the loan is yours to service. The instant it delivered, her call blasted in. I answered. Serena, are you insane? Her shriek sliced through traffic noise in the background. Jason paced somewhere nearby. The bank will foreclose. Where will we live? What about your brother and Brianna? Mom, I cut in flat. The deed belongs to my brother, his marital home. Your daughter-in-law declared me an outsider. Outsiders don't finance other people's property. Silence, then a fresh eruption. You're killing us. All those years wasted. Blood helps blood. How can you be so selfish? Selfish? I echoed, gazing down at the antline of headlights 30 floors below. I selfishly carried you for 3 years. Now I plan to selflessly look after myself. Restore that payment this minute or you're no daughter of mine. The ultimate trump card. Once, those words could make me panic and fold in seconds. Now they only feel pathetic. Fine, I said. Have it your way. I hung up and flicked her number to do not disturb. The world went quiet again. I knew this was only the beginning. The real storm was still coming. What they didn't know was that the payment freeze was merely step one of taking everything back. The purchase contract and every mortgage statement were locked in my drawer, my sharpest weapon. I lifted the cold coffee and drank. After the bitterness came a faint, sweet aftertaste. Thunder has clapped. Now watch the rainfall. The first foam barrage was only the overture. The true tempest hit the lobby of Sterling Tech half an hour after I cut Mom off. When the receptionist call patched through, my team and I were finalizing a contingency for the looming pay cut crisis. Rowan, the front desk kid, whispered. 3 visitors downstairs say they're family. They're pretty agitated and insist on seeing you right now. The inevitable had clocked in. I could already picture the 3 of them fuming at security. Tell them I'm in a meeting, I answered evenly. If they care to wait, the first floor lounge is open. If not, they're free to leave. I hung up, flashed my team an apologetic smile. Sorry, personal noise. Let's keep going. The meeting ground on for 40 more minutes while my phone vibrated in my pocket. Like a dying hornet, I could feel them downstairs, rage cooling into anxiety, fermenting into dread. Alex is the perfect coolant and the perfect pressure cooker. When I finally stepped off the elevator, I spotted the familiar trio in the lounge. Mom's face was ashen, Jason paced like a caged animal, and Brianna sat clutching her own hands, nails about to draw blood. Serena. Mom sprang up the instant she saw me. Voice shrill enough to make heads turn. So you finally decided to grace us with your presence? Such big shot airs. I'm at work. I halted a safe distance away, tone as detached. As with any client, you have 10 minutes. Speak. Work? You can still think about work? Jason lunged forward, cheeks purple. What the hell happened to the mortgage? The bank call today said you maliciously froze payments. Do you have any idea what that does to my credit? Of course, his precious credit. Your credit? I arched an eyebrow. The loan is in your name, bro. I simply stopped my personal transfers. Pay the bill yourself and the problem's solved. Jason's mouth opened and closed, face reddening like a stoplight. Brianna jumped up to smooth things over, forcing a brittle smile. Serena, don't be mad. Your brother's just scared. We're family, why can't we talk? Look, you moved out and froze the loan. Mom and Jason have been worried sick. If you want the room back, we'll keep it for you. The pity card again, I cut her off. No thanks, Brianna. I can't afford that nursery. And as for worry? My gaze flicked across the 3 of them. You're worried about the bank, worried about losing the big house. Nobody's worried about Serena the person. Mom's expression flickered. Her tone soft a notch but stayed accusatory. Even if we were wrong, Serena, you can't punish the whole family. Like this. That house your father's last hope, you want us out on the street? Punishment? I shook my head and pulled a clear plastic folder from my briefcase. Mom, I'm not punishing anyone. I'm protecting what's legally mine and ending a free ride. I held the folder up. Inside, thick printouts of bank statements. Every $2,300 mortgage payment highlighted for the past 3 years, plus the wire receipt. For the down payment, my account straight to the developer, amount in bold. Here's the proof of the down payment and 3 years of payments, black on white. My voice was low, each word a hammer blow. Legally, the deed says Jason, but this paper trail shows I'm the real investor. I paid out of affection, I stopped out of right. All three stared, faces bleached of color. Maybe they thought I was throwing a tantrum. They hadn't guessed I'd come armed. Panic flickered in Jason's eyes. He opened his mouth, but produced no sound. Brianna's smile evaporated, replaced by the sullen look of a scheme gone sour. Mom wavered, whispering, You planned this all along. I finally learned to protect myself. I slipped the folder back and glanced at my watch. Time's up. You've heard the facts. Whether you scrape the money together or list the place, figure it out. I turned on my heel and stalked toward the elevators. Behind me, Mom's choked sobs and Jason's guttural curses braided into one ugly chord. Inside me, only calm, empty desert. The war was far from over. Cornered beasts bite back. But this time the evidence was mine. The paycheck was mine, the high ground was mine. The blade is out, let them bleed next. Back at my downtown loft, night had draped the skyline in neon lace. I poured a glass of room temp water and stood at the picture window, watching traffic glitter far below. After the afternoon circus, the silence felt priceless. My phone lit up not with the expected family tirade, but with messages from colleagues. Serena, you okay? Your mom's downstairs telling people some pretty nasty stuff. Attached were blurry shots of Margaret perched on the plaza fountain, tearfully denouncing her heartless daughter to a knot of gawkers. I smiled thinly. Hard tactics failed, so they were trying soft ones, guilt and gossip. They seemed to forget I hadn't climbed Sterling Tech's ladder by being anyone's doormat. I opened the locked group chat, just my inner circle at work, and typed 2 calm bullet points. 1, I moved out recently. 2, I stopped paying a mortgage that was solely funded by me for 3 years on a deed that bears Jason's name. I'll handle the rest through counsel. No sobs, no drama, just facts. In the adult world, facts trump tears. Replies flooded in. Gotta stay safe. Need anything? That family's toxic. Understood, standing with you. Tiny PR battle. 1. At the same moment, my personal inbox pinged. Sender unknown. Subject razor sharp. Legal risk analysis on foreclosure of Riverside property. Jason title. I clicked. The memo dissected what happens when an acknowledged financial backer halts payment. Acceleration clauses, foreclosure auctions possible. Deficiency judgments. It ended with bullet-point advice on documenting beneficial ownership. No signature. I knew instantly who'd sent it. Sterling Tech's soft-spoken chief counsel. The man I'd once helped with a minor evidence backlog. Quiet payback, lawyer style. A warm feeling rose in my chest. Look, once I walked away from that family that only knew how to bleed me dry, the outside world turned out to be full of unexpected kindness. I read the email carefully, my gaze finally stopping on the words. Foreclosure auction and proof of actual investors' rights. A clear plan took shape in my mind. They want to use public pressure to force me to give in. They still fantasize they can keep the house and treat me as nothing more than an ATM? Then I'll do them a favor, fan the flames until the fire scorches the place they fear most. I picked up my phone, but not to call family. I dialed a real estate agent I knew. Dylan, a sharp, capable young woman I'd met while helping a friend. Reliable. Dylan, it's Serena. I need a favor, I said, voice flat. Please keep an eye on the Riverside. Unit Building X, Unit X Apt, XX currently titled to my brother Jason. If that listing pops up anywhere, whether the resale market or a foreclosure auction, pops up anywhere, whether the resale market or whether the resale market or the resale market or a foreclosure auction, notify me first thing. Dylan was obviously startled, but training kept her from prying. She simply jotted it down. Got it, Cameron, I'll flag it. The second anything moves, you'll hear. I hung up and gently swirled the warm water in my glass. Cut the fuel from under the cauldron? No, this is me inviting the toad into the pot. Jason, Brianna, Mom, you care more about that house than about me? Then let's see how you sing when it turns into a scorching potato, maybe even a bottomless pit that swallows every cent you have and whether you can. Still declare my sacrifices only natural. The wind's already rising, we'll see who drowns on the muddy waters rise. For the next 2 weeks an eerie calm descended. The family WhatsApp group went stone dead, no more dunning or curses. Margaret stopped her weepy calls and Jason and Brianna seemed erased from the earth. The silence wasn't truce. It was the low pressure before a hurricane. I knew they wouldn't sit idle. They had to be scrambling to plug the $23,000 a month hole or plotting a nastier counterstrike.me. I kept busy. By day I threw myself into work. The new project proposal born from my pay cut polished itself under my hand and even piqued the executive's interest. Every ounce of energy, every emotion went into perfecting the details, career therapy, and self-forging in one. By night I became an icy hunter. Through Dylan and public records I tracked the house. And my brother's household. The calm shattered soon enough. First Dylan texted, "Cameron, movement, your brother's place was quietly listed. Yesterday afternoon 10% under market, must sell urgency." They need cash? The bank's threats must already choke them. 10% off is outright amputation. I could picture Brianna's face twisting as she totaled the loss. "Keep watching," I replied. "Flag any price change or viewing." Next, a banker friend whispered, "Serena, your brother hit our loan desk today shopping for a personal loan to tide him over, but the line they offered was tiny. He looked wrecked. A consumer loan, high-interest short-term debt to feed a long-term mortgage? That's sipping poison to quench thirst. Their salaries can't cover the stacked payments. They're slogging straight into the fiscal swamp I mapped out." The fragments fit together into a crisp image. Flailing, frantic, filthy. Yet none of that rattled me. The text that actually stung made me almost sad came from Margaret. Not a call, a message softer than I'd ever seen. "Serena, Mom knows she was wrong. Come home. That room is forever yours. Your brother can't hold on much longer. For the sake of all I did raising you. Help us this once, just this last time, please." Words on a screen, yet louder than any. Scream trying to slip past logic and tunnel straight into the heart that once starved for family. I stared at it a long while. Scenes flashed. Emery when she still braided my hair. And saved me a bite of dessert, always a little smaller than Jason's portion, but still. Those faint, long magnified warmths now looked colorless and ridiculous. Against the cold facts. She isn't sorry for a lifetime of favoring her son. Only sorry the bill has come due and her golden boy is choking. I closed the message without answering. Any response costs energy, and there no longer worth even that dot. Still, something in my chest ached, a familiar, dull throb. The last ember of hope for family dying. I stood, walked to the window. Drew several slow breaths. Fine. Once the hurt passes, it becomes stronger armor. The harder they thrash, the clearer I see how right I was. The law, financial independence, and a heart that won't be shaken. These are my shields. The war was settled the instant they locked me out of the home I'd bankrolled. Now I only need to watch them step by step, into the grave they dug. Margaret's sentimental cards sank without a ripple. The fire sale listing found no takers. And the bank's robocalls hounded Jason until he looked haunted. Pressure tightened like a noose, and they went berserk. Sam, I woke to violent pounding that rattled my door. Through the peephole I saw a face warped by rage. My dear brother Jason. Flanked by Margaret, ash pale, and Brianna, eyes shifting. Showtime. I didn't open up at once. I switched on my phone recorder, called the front desk, and kept my voice level. "Hi, this is Serena in Unit XX. 3 strangers are trying to break in and threatening me. Please send security up immediately." Only then did I unlatch chains still on, leaving a finger-wide gap. "Yes?" I studied the trio like a dispassionate audience. "Have you no conscience?" Jason's eyes were bloodshot. He shoved, but the chain held. He battered the panel harder. "You ruined us happy now? Open up." Margaret slid to the floor, wailing for the neighbors. "Come see, my evil daughter wants us dead." Oh, my wretched life. Brianna, clinging to dignity, hissed venom. "Serena, we're still blood. Keep pushing. And you'll regret it. Ruthless?" My voice cut cleanly through the racket, compared with kicking me out of the home I paid for and dumping the entire loan on me when my pay was cut. This is mercy. Regret? I raked my gaze over them. I earn my own keeps. I don't wait for fruit that never falls. 2 guards burst from the elevator. What's happening, Cameron? I unhooked the door and pointed. These 3 are trespassing, harassing, menacing me. We're unrelated. Get them out. If they refuse, I'll call the cops. Proof in hand, the guards moved in. Please leave now or we escalate to police. Call them, Jason howled, jabbing a finger at me. She froze the mortgage financial fraud. I almost laughed at the absurd charge. Jason, the loan agreement has your name on. You're the one obligated to repay. I simply stopped giving you a gift. Where's the fraud? Should I call the cops right now and have them give you a quick lesson in the law? The moment I offered to dial 911, Margaret scrambled up from the floor and clutched Jason's arm. They were scared after. All scared the mess would explode beyond repair, scared of looking even. Worse in front of the police. Double quotes fine, Serena, have it your way. Jason's chest heaved, his eyes like knives dipped in poison. Just wait, we don't want the house anymore. But you won't get off easy. We'll storm your office and show everyone exactly what kind of monster you are. Be my guest. I stepped back and reached for the door. While you're at it, I'd love the whole company to see what kind of family I've been. Bankrolling all these years, we'll find out whose side public opinion takes. Bang. The door slammed shut, cutting off every curse, sob, and threat. I leaned against it, listening to security barking orders and their unwilling voices fading. Down the hallway, the sweat that had pooled in my palms from clenching. My fists slowly cooled. I knew this wasn't over. Cornered dogs bite dirtier. Showing up at Sterling Tech was probably the last card they had left. I walked back to the living room, picked up my phone, and stopped the recording. That file might come in handy. Then I called the VP who had always valued my work. VP, sorry to bother you on the weekend. I need to give you a heads up, I laid out. The family conflict and the chance they'd storm the office. Calm and factual, no embellishment. He was quiet for a few seconds, then said steadily, Serena, the company can't take sides in private matters, but you're a core employee. Anyone who disrupts our workplace for any reason will be dealt with legally. Keep your mind on the job. I'll alert security. Jamie. After hanging up, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in hours. Every defensive wall was in place. The stage was set. I was curious when they charged the fortress I'd built, who would end up bloodied. I arrived at Sterling Tech 30 minutes early Monday morning. As expected, 3 agitated silhouettes waited near reception, Margaret, Jason, and Brianna. They'd picked the spot where gossip spreads fastest. Margaret lunged the instant she spotted me, but a security guard stepped in first. Serena, Mom is begging you, she wailed, her voice echoing through the atrium. That's your brother's only home. Jason's face was stone, fists clenched, eyes burning. Brianna kept her head down, dodging the glances of early bird colleagues. I didn't slow down, didn't look over. I swiped my badge, summoned the elevator, pressed my floor-smooth automatic. Serena, stop right there, Jason roared. Give us answers or we're not leaving. Supervisor Avery arrived with 2 guards. Polite but firm. Folks, we understand you have issues, but this is a place of business. Please keep your voices down and leave quietly. She's my daughter, my sister. Margaret and Jason shouted as one. We have every right. Avery didn't flinch. Relationship doesn't matter. Disturb the workspace. And we'll call the police under the public order ordinance. Police? Perfect. Jason yelled louder. Let them judge the woman who cut off her own brother's mortgage to drive us into the ground. His rant drew more arriving coworkers. Just then the elevator pinged. VP stepped out, scanning the scene. He nodded at me, then addressed my family. You must be Serena's relatives, he said, voice calm but carrying weight. I'm a VP here. Your private affairs are our concern, but Serena is an outstanding employee, and we're obligated to provide a safe, harassment-free workplace. He paused, letting the words sink in. If you keep this up, we'll not only call the police, we'll seek a restraining order. You won't get within a block of this building. The threat hit like ice water. Jason deflated. He hadn't expected executive-level backing. Margaret's usual weapons, filial piety, and guilt shriveled under cold policy. And legal wording. Brianna finally looked up, panic and shame plain on her face. She tugged Jason's sleeve. Let's go, stop embarrassing ourselves. Guards closed in with courteous, this-way gestures. Under absolute rules and force, their tantrum crumbled. Jason looked punctured. Margaret stopped wailing, staring at me with a mix of resentment and bewilderment. Under the silent gaze of the entire front desk, the three of them shuffled out. Escorted crestfallen, I hadn't said a single word to them. When they vanished beyond the revolving doors, quiet returned. I nodded toward VP and Avery. Jamie. Thanks, Avery. Back to work, VP said, squeezing my shoulder. Knock 'em dead. I headed for the bullpen, behind me a hushed chorus of support. Rowan's been through hell. Leeches for relatives? I'm on Rowan's side. At my desk, laptop open, I felt preternaturally calm. The circus was over. They'd lost to rules and optics. Their last move had shattered. Against the rampart I built after today, even the thinnest thread binding me to. That family had snapped. Inside the wasteland of my heart, something green was. Pushing through the cracked earth, the bastion had never felt stronger. I had never felt freer. After the company spectacle, my life went silent. My phone never rang with their numbers again. Even the half-hearted apology texts dried up. They'd sunk like stones. Not a ripple left. I knew it wasn't reconciliation, just total rupture and hopeless despair. Still cautious, I asked Dylan to keep an eye on the house. Less than 2 weeks. Later he messaged, Cameron Jason's place just showed up on the foreclosure site. Opening bid 20% below market, foreclosure. The word slammed the gavel on months of tug-of-war. The bank had lost patience and chosen the fastest cash out. 20% under. Market meant that even if it sold, Jason and Brianna would walk away with almost nothing or still owe fees. I clicked the link. Photos of the home I'd funded stared back. Now just another lot with a price tag, strangers appraising every corner. No triumph, no sorrow, only the stillness of something finished, a story whose... And I'd foreseen. My phone buzzed again, unknown local landline. I picked up. Serena? A courteous woman asked. This is the mediation center at the district court. Regarding Jason's loan dispute with the bank, we see you have prior ties to the property. Jason is asking if you could, out of family loyalty, contribute to avoid the auction. Of course. At the last minute they were wielding the rotten rope of family through official channels, hoping for one final bind. Hello, mediator. My voice was clear and calm, devoid of any emotion. First, Jason and I are independent adults. No joint debt exists between us. Second, the down payment and the earlier mortgage payments were gifts I made out of familial affection, not a loan. I have safely kept all related transfer records and evidence. Lastly, I no longer have any contact with Jason or his family. Their debt is their legal responsibility. I do not accept any form of mediation. The other end went silent for a few seconds. While the mediator typed, then her professionally steady voice returned. Understood, Ellis. I've logged your position. Thank you for taking the call. You're welcome. I hung up, knowing that had been the final echo from that family. From now on, mountains stretched between us, rivers ran their own courses. I closed the foreclosure tab and opened a work document. The past was truly finished. Everything that had drained or stabbed me was now. As irrelevant as the house on the auction block, no longer mine in any way. My future rested in my own hands and the code I was writing. In the project I was pushing forward inside this hushed, sunlit apartment that finally belonged only to me. Really, the road ahead is clear. My new life has only just lifted its curtain. News of the foreclosure dropped like a final verdict, severing the past. My existence felt muted, yet somehow tuned to the brightest frequency. I threw every ounce of energy into the new project conceived to battle the pay cut crisis. When a person is single-minded and goal-oriented, the force unleashed is startling. I led the team in late-night shifts, polishing every detail, smashing every obstacle. We finished ahead of schedule, and the post-launch metrics exceeded expectations, becoming one of the few bright spots during Sterling Tech's slump. At the quarterly review, VP Derek Lee praised us by name, especially under external headwinds and certain personal pressures, he said. His appreciative gaze brushing over me, Director Serena has displayed remarkable professionalism and resilience. She's a model for us all. Applause filled the conference room. In that moment I felt, for once, not the hollow validation purchased with family sacrifice, but solid respect earned through competence. After the meeting, HR found me privately. Serena, leadership sees your value and stability. We're reinstating your salary to its original level and awarding an additional project bonus. Thank you for the recognition. I smiled, calm and full. Financial independence is the sturdiest cornerstone. With the restored paycheck and earlier savings, I bought myself a brighter, roomier apartment. I signed the contract alone, seeing the words Serena as the sole owner wrapped me in a grounded tranquility I had never known. This space was finally utterly mine. Created and guarded by me. Moving felt ceremonial. I tossed most of the stale objects dragged from that home, keeping only what I truly needed or loved. The new place is painted in soft neutrals, its wide windows drinking in sunshine. One added a few pots of greenery bursts of life. On a weekend afternoon, I curled up on the sofa. The laptop showed not oppressive emails, but the back end of a finance blog I'd been tending quietly. Recent posts. How to build crisis-proof assets. Decluttering toxic relationships is a form of wealth management had nudged my follower count past a milestone, and advertisers were sliding into my inbox. Outside, the setting sun gilded the city. My phone lay silent. I neither awaited nor feared any relic from the past. My world is defined and filled by me alone. I lifted the teacup, breathing in the steam, and realized with sudden clarity, the Serena who had to keep paying for scraps of approval is dead. Like the foreclosed house, she belongs to an irretrievable yesterday. The reborn me, rooted in soil I tilled myself, is finally free to grow wildly for myself. 1 year later, I stood at the podium of the annual Industry Innovation Summit, spotlights warm on my face. Below, a sea of listeners included some of the sector's biggest names. I adjusted the microphone. My clear, steady voice carried through the hall. Therefore, we believe true resilience lies not only in resisting risk, but in the ability to birth something new within crisis. Thanks to my team, we converted pressure into momentum. The project I presented had been born under the twin hammer blows of a pay cut and family collapse. It had thrived inside Sterling Tech and sparked a minor tech trend, bringing us to this bright stage today. The speech ended to thunderous applause. Offstage, executives from several firms handed me cards, open admiration and recruitment intent in their eyes. Rowan, brilliant talk, especially the part about rebirth, a familiar voice said behind me. I turned. VP stood there, pride on his face. VP? I greeted, smiling. There's a small private dinner after this, industry heavyweights join us? The invitation spoke volumes. I had entered the inner circle. At the banquet, I exchanged views with ease, confidence. No longer anchored to outside praise, but sourced from inner strength and layered expertise. Midway, I headed to the restroom. Walking the carpeted corridor, I glanced through tall windows at a mall screen flashing foreclosure notices. One-line destinies. Footnote flicked past. Unit 30, Building XXX Garden, second foreclosure auction failed. Now entering forced sale phase. Opening price slashed again, yet still no bidders. My gaze rested on it for less than a second before sliding away. No ripples, no pity, no vindictive pleasure. That house, with every memory it held, had shrunk to a trivial headline, a page forever turned. Scattered rumors say Jason and Brianna, crushed by debt and constant quarrels, left the city long ago. Their whereabouts are unknown. Margaret moved back to the old family house. She still texts me about weather or health. I seldom answer, never read closely. Some wounds, once scabbed, need not be reopened. Forgiveness is not compulsory. Distance is self-care. When the dinner ended, I declined further socializing and returned alone to my apartment overlooking half the city's lights. I removed my makeup, slipped into soft home clothes. The flat was quiet except for the faint hum of the humidifier. I poured a glass of warm water and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside, a glittering flowing river of light, each lamp a story of striving. At last, I am one steady, luminous point within it. I once feared cutting myself loose would leave me rootless, drifting. Now I know, severing chains is not for falling, it is for flight. I raised my glass to the vast night beyond the glass and to the woman in the reflection. Ties resolute, bearing calm, saluting her. The end.